Torah portion, of course, we have the story of Noah. And when the flood begins, God tells him to go into the ark. Bo el ha-teva, enter into the ark. After the flood is over, there's a second instruction. Say min ha-teva, go out of the ark. And the Talmud quotes a rabbi by the name of Rabbi Eloi. Rabbi Eloi says, if I was in the ark, I wouldn't wait for God to say, go out of the ark. I would have taken an axe and broken down the ark to go out. And what Rabbi Eloi is saying is that the reason why Noah doesn't emerge as a great leader in Jewish history is because he doesn't take initiative. He waits for God to tell him what to do. Go into the ark. Okay, go out of the ark. Rabbi Eloi says, I mean, you see a shattered world. When you see a world that was just destroyed, your natural inclination as a Jew should be, I want to get out there. I want to start changing the world. I want to start repairing the world. I want to start rebuilding the world. The fact that he was so passive and just sat there until God had to actually tell him, okay, it's time to go out now, shows why he's not qualified to become a great Jewish leader. And it's only Avram Avinu, who we introduced at the end of the parasha, who becomes the father of our nation. And if you look at Jewish history, first of all, if you look at Pirkei Avot, Ethics of Our Fathers, it says, "B'makom she'ein ish," where there's no other person, "Ishtadel liyas ish." You become the man. Where there's no one else going to do anything, you have to take initiative. You have to act. And we all know the story of Moshe Rabbeinu when he saw the Jew hitting the Egyptian. It says he looked this way, he looked that way. He saw there's no one else standing up for this person. So he said, if no one else is doing anything, I must do something. And that's the mindset of a Jew. A Jew is a trailblazer. A Jew is a pioneer. A Jew charts a new course. And I think for our generation, this is very powerful. Because our generation, or at least our parents' generation, experienced the Holocaust. There was no greater Mabul, no greater flood that brought the destruction of the world and 6 million lives, Jews and many others, than the flood of our generation, the Holocaust. But unlike Noah, who sat with folded hands in the ark waiting for God to tell him to get out, look at what the Jewish people did. 1945, the Holocaust ends. Goes straight to Palestine. And in 1948, 3 years later, they established our Jewish homeland back in Eretz Yisrael. That's the courage it takes to be a Jew. To come from the biggest tragedy, but not like Noah to plant a vineyard and get drunk. But to say, let me start rebuilding our country, now more than ever. And if you think about the strength and the courage that takes, after losing 6 million of our brethren, these survivors who lost brothers and sisters and mothers and fathers and spouses and children, found the strength to get up and say, we're going to start rebuilding a shattered Jewish world. We're going to go from the concentration camps, from the crematoriums, from the ashes, and we're going to build life. That's the opposite of what Noah did. That's what makes a Jew a Jew. There's a story I just read last week that there was a young girl. She was learning in the elementary school in Crown Heights. This goes back, must have been in the 70s. And there was no Chabad high school in Crown Heights. And they announced the opening of the first Chabad high school. So her father said, great, you're going to go to this new high school. But she said, no, I want to go to Beis Yaakov, where her older sister went, because I don't want to go to some new high school with 10 kids, with 15 kids, I want to go to an established school. So her father said, write a letter to the Rabbi. So she wrote a letter to the Rabbi, and she said, she's ashamed now that she actually wrote this, but she was a girl of 13, 14. She wrote to the Rabbi, she said, I don't want to go to this new high school, because I don't want to be a guinea pig. That's what she wrote to the Rabbi. The Rebbe sent her back her letter, and all he did was he crossed out the word guinea pig, and he wrote pioneer. To be a Jew is that you're a pioneer. And that's the message Rabbi Eloi says. Don't sit in the ark. When you see something that has to get done, get out of the ark. I would have taken an axe and broken down the ark, he said, to go rebuild a shattered world. When you see something that needs to be done, don't wait on the sidelines for others. Take action, and that's what makes you a Jew.